What are the characteristics of short story? It is simple. It is simple. We don't need to make it philosophical one. We don't need to make it heavier one to understand, because stories are always supposed to be told for different purposes. We tell stories to share our burden, we tell stories to inform others, we tell stories to convey a message, we tell stories to create player, we tell stories to create escape, we tell stories to we tell stories because we know that this is something important that world need to know. So it must be done in a very simple and brief way. And every time a short story covers the beliefs and periods of time. So in short story, two things are very much important that we need to take care of. Number one, it is all about your beliefs. It is all about your way of looking at things. Because in my first introduction yesterday, I had told you that you are important person in this world. And you are the only important person in this world. This world is full of important persons, but right now, when you intend to be creative writer, you must feel that you are the only important person in this world, and you have certain beliefs, you have certain ideas, you have certain desires, you have certain wishes, you have certain conventions, you have certain points of views, you have certain expectations, you have certain experiences that you deem fit for public revelation, that you want that other world must know. Okay, so it is all about belief, but it must cover a little period of time. It must cover a little period of time, because in every genre of fiction, in every writing, we have two things: we have time and we have space. Okay, time is known as temporal, means we have temporal tendencies and we have spatial tendencies. Because whenever you write about places. You write about places, and you write about those places in a given time period. You cannot start from infinity till the next infinity. You cannot write something where time is not mentioned. Even if time is not mentioned, the reader will find out the time. For example, if you are writing a story and there is no any mention of time, but you say that the character was using Android cell phone, we will come to know that the story is related with current times, because Android cell phones are the product of this period, 21st century. Okay, but if you are writing that your character was listening a radio, so you will feel that it is a story that took place some 30 or 40 years back, though time is not mentioned. Yes? 90s or 80s. Or 90s, 80s, even 70s or 60s, like this. Okay, if you make your character ride on a tanga, horse riding or like this, so you will feel that the rickshaws were not popular in Kharpur, so it gets back to 90s or 80s, like this. So time is always there, either you mention it or not, but good writers always mention time. Okay, and then we have special places, we have space, means your story is incomplete without space, because you cannot create a story in a vacuum. There will be a city, there will be a town, there will be a village, there will be a university, there will be an institute, there will be a school, there will be a college, there will be markets, there will be a hotel, like this. So these two things are necessary that we try to convey. And all these stories always involve characters, because in short story, character are the important elements. And what do we mean by characters? Most of the time we have human characters. We have a boy, we have a girl, we have a man, we have a woman, we have an old man, we have an old lady, we have a religious man, we have a secular man, we have a Sindhi, character, we have a Pashto character, we have an English character, so there are always men. But characters are not limited to men alone. We have animals as our characters as well. For example, in a story, we have a dog, and that dog continuously goes along the story. So he becomes the part of the character. He is characterized. We have a book. For example, we will invent a story where a book will take place of a character. the character will be continuously reading from that book and referring to that book. So that book becomes the part of story. We can have a cell phone character of a story. We can have anything that is not human that can be a part of character. We will study it in detail in later slides. Characters and events quickly developed. This is the characteristics of a short story. In novel, we have events taking place slowly and gradually. But as this is a short story, so we need to expedite our events. We will not waste our energy and waste our time and waste our even written space for the details of things, because then if you will get all these things involved, it will become a lengthier task, and then it will not be a short story. It will turn into a novella. It will turn into another genre. So while you are writing short story, you need to be very brief. You need to avoid the details, but if there are necessary details, then they must be given. For example, if you are describing a character, you must not evade the description because you are writing a short story. You need to develop your character to the full length. Okay, you have to give the complete characteristics of those characters. Clear? And then action is fast paced. Now this is the point that I need to explain here, that how action is fast paced. Now, in every genre of fiction, we have a story. And you know what is a story? A story is, एक लड़का था, there was a boy, he belonged to rural family with meager resources, managed to reach at university, studied there, got degree, got job, married to a beautiful girl, and lived happily. This is the story. Stories like this one. A story can be described in 5 sentences. But for writing a short story, this is not that much simple. Okay? Even the entire novel can be described in the format of a story in 10 lines. Suggest me any novel that you have read. A Tale of Two Cities, for example, because it is very much popular. Yes, what is the story of Tale of Two Cities? The story of Tale of Two Cities is, there was a doctor who was imprisoned. Yes. He had a daughter. His daughter meets him. Then his daughter falls in love with a person from a family who had implicated doctor in that case. Yes, there was another lover of that girl, and that lover sacrificed his life for the girl. So this is the complete story of a novel. But that novel is not that much simple. That novel is of the length of about 250 pages. Okay, this 250 pages are created because each and everything is described in a detail. The events are narrated with clarity. The events are narrated with exaggeration. But in short story, we try to fasten the speed of action. Now, how do we start action? It is known as plot. Every genre of fiction involves plot. Either it is short story or it is a novel. What do we mean by plots? Plot is a portrayal of a story in a sequential order. Means we have a story, but we are not going to tell a story in a plain words as I told you, but we have a sequential order of the events, and those events are described in detail. So, a traditional format of plot is like this pyramid. We have a beginning. We have a
beginning.
Beginning means introduction. Introduction of what? Introduction of your characters, introduction of your place. For example, we are creating a story. Now this is very important, and I will finish this talk here. So if you want to learn how to write good story, you must be focused here. I will be suggesting you these things, and through this we are creating a story. And this story is being created purely right now. This story doesn't exist. And then you will see that how stories are created. Characters will be from this place. Setting is this place, Lincoln Corner. In Kharagpur, there was a Lincoln Corner where a lot of books for American studies were available, where people used to come and read those books free of cost. We have a character Amjad. Amjad belongs to a very poor family. His father is a mason and he does not afford the extra or covetous education for Amjad. Amjad has a friend, his name is Sajid. Sajid is a regular visitor of Lincoln Corner. Sajid tells Amjad that in Kharpur we have a place where we can avail the opportunity of reading American books free of cost. Now see, story is moving. Story is? We introduce characters, we introduce plays, story is moving. Then in company of, what was the name of second character? Sajid. In company of Sajid, Amjad started visiting Lincoln Corner. Story is moving ahead. Story is moving ahead. In Lincoln Corner, they used to read books together, they used to attend seminars there, there used to be wonderful sessions, and in those sessions, experts from different parts of our country, from Pakistan, used to deliver their talks. Now, Amjad is a curious reader. Amjad is a very ambitious person, and he tries to get rid from his poverty. Now this is known as a conflict. This is known as a conflict. He has a conflict. Conflict means any problem. Because until and unless you create a conflict, you cannot get a story move ahead. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Because if there are no conflicts, the story will not move ahead. So in plot we have conflicts. But in short story, try to keep conflicts at minimum level. There should be only one conflict or there should be only maximum two conflicts. Okay? So we have two characters. I am repeating the story. And when we will write it, it will be a wonderful piece of writing. We have two characters. We have Amjad and we have Sajid. Both are introduced to Lincoln Corner. They used to visit Lincoln Corner. They used to attend sessions there. Amjad, as he was from a poor family background, he was very ambitious and he used to attend the sessions with clarity of mind, with careful, pursuit. Sajid, his friend, was a carefree guy. He used to visit it, and it was Sajid who had introduced him into this corner. But he never took interest in it. For him, it was a time pass. He used to sit in this corner, so to enjoy the environment of this corner. For him, this is a beautiful place. Instead of sitting in a hotel, it is better to sit in a Lincoln Corner, because his father is a very strict person. Then again, you will involve his family background, for example. Okay. Now, one day there was a session in which a resource person shared how one can win a scholarship for United States. Sajid and Amjad both were the participants. For Sajid it was a time pass. For Amjad it was a chance. He took it serious. Serious. Then he applied for GR International. He applied for TOEFL. He qualified GR. Because I am not writing and my aim is to create a story further, that's why I am skipping the details. Otherwise, you will incorporate these details in it. So, the action will rise, conflict will grow. There was a single conflict. The conflict was competing with poverty, but then again another conflict arises when Sajid and Amjad both applied for GR International. Amjad qualified GR International and Sajid failed in it. So there was now a personal conflict between Amjad and Sajid. Sajid started hating Amjad. Sajid started developing negative feelings for Amjad. And now Sajid declared Amjad as an opportunist. Because Sajid believed that in my failure, there is the role of Amjad. Amjad did not teach me well, or Amjad did not, guide me well. while we as a reader of the story know that it was not Amjad's fault, but Sajid is taking it serious. Sajid is taking it serious. So conflict grew. Now Sajid was an influential person. He tried to create hindrance in visa pursuit of Amjad. Okay? Conflict will grow. And he will write to the US Embassy that Sajid's father was once convicted because of theft. Because he was a poor. So poor must have this problem. Okay? So American US visa embassy was reported about Sajid. Here the conflict comes to the heightening point. There will not be any heightening point more than this. अंत थियो ना गरीब पे 12 जलाए यूएस एम्बेसी में एप्लीकेशन पची हुई तो बाबा ये पी जो को वो चोरी कर दो चोरा कुटरा ठीक है कहानी अल उरूज ते पची हुई हिन उरूज के साथ ने क्लाइमेक्स